Today we're going to be covering a very requested video here on the channel. A lot of people ask me what are really good early, mid-game, and late-game sets when it comes to running the mage class. I personally run the tank class, but as with a mage setup. So I'm basically mage, but I'm actually the tank class for more EHP. It's all complicated, but nonetheless, today we're going to be talking about 3 different stages of becoming a mage here on Hypixel Skyblock, kind of different money milestones as well, how much things cost, what you should be running with them. Honestly, I think it's going to be a really good one. So anyways, if you guys are excited for this video, make sure you guys are subscribed. Only a small percentage of you guys are, and you can change your mind at absolutely any time, and it doesn't cost you a single thing. Anyways, without further ado, we're going to jump right into the video. Today's video actually costed me a good amount of coins because I bought quite a few items that I wanted to show for some of the lower tiers. And just because they're lower tiers doesn't mean that some of these items are cheap. Mage is the most expensive class by a long shot. Archer catches up when you get to some of the later floors with Boomerang, as well as with Necron head, Diamond, and like Necron set, and overall it gets quite pricey as well near the end. But Mage has significantly been the most expensive class to run since floor 1 was released. So today we're going to be talking about 3 stages of them. I have a set or 2 to show for each stage, as well as some of the things that you can work and what level you should be at when you're kind of trying to achieve these things. So first off, when you start at dungeons, you should be using a dragon set. If you're Catacombs level 0 and you're just starting on floor 1, you should be using either whatever best set you have. It won't be dungeonized, which means that you can wear it in any floor. So for example, a regular superior set, a regular Y set is really good for mage starting off. Just regular plain Ys, or even young set if you want to run really fast. Anything that, honestly, your best armor set that you have where you get the most HP, most defense, and most mana. So those are the most important parts. There's also 2 reforges that are very reoccurring throughout all stages of this, and that will be Necrotic and Loving, and we'll get into those as we go. Once you start leveling up your catacombs, once you reach floor 3, you're going to start grinding for an armor set called Adaptive. Adaptive is one of the first armor sets that you should really aim for as a mage, honestly for any class. Adaptive is one of those sets that almost every single Dungeons player wore for a very long period of time while waiting for future floors and better armor sets to be released. Adaptive was really great because it gave set bonuses for every single class. As you can see, Berserk, Healer, Mage, Tank, and Archer all had different set bonuses while wearing this set, and it also came with a really cool unique color for each class that you were running while wearing this set in the dungeon, which was really cool as well. What's really good about this set is that it honestly caters for every single class. So with Mage, for example, you get an extra 50 intelligence just for running the class and wearing the entire set. Every 5 catacomb levels as well, this armor piece gains plus 2% stats, which is really good. So as you level up, your adaptive armor was getting better with you. So the sooner you could get your hands on one of these things, the better. These armor sets are actually relatively cheap nowadays. The boots actually are under 100,000 coins. The most expensive piece being the chest plate. I believe it was like 2 to 4 mil. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head, but in that area, you can get the full set for less than 5 million coins. It's just an estimate. Obviously, prices vary, but at the time recording this, you could get this whole set for 5 million coins. The first weapon that kind of goes along with this is the Bonzo Staff. So the Bonzo Staff is something that you get on floor 2, floor 1 actually, sorry, from fighting Bonzo. I believe it's floor 1. Hold up, I haven't done these floors in a good while. Bonzo, floor 1 actually, yeah. So floor 1, you have a chance at getting a Bonzo Staff from a chest. The Bonzo Staff is one of the first mage weapons that you will come across. It's one that I used for a while, as well as many other players. So the Bonzo Staff's actually really cool. It kind of shoots out like this little balloon type feature that does impact damage when it hits. I'm going to be focusing on right click mages, by the way, not left click in this video, mainly because I have no experience with it. I run tank mage, so I'm used to the mage weapons and armor sets, but I'm not used to left clicking. So hopefully you guys can figure that part out for yourself. So I quickly want to warp over to the crypts, and I want to see how much damage we can actually do with some of these things. I believe my talismans are still on Bazaar. Yep, perfect. So let me actually throw on the adaptive set. Obviously, this is way better inside of a dungeon, but outside the dungeon's sake, as you can see, we actually just we killed it. So we can kill crypts. We're doing 17.8k damage right now without the pet out, and so yeah, we're doing good. We're doing great. But as I said, this is for an early mage setup. It's tons of fun to use because you can just hold down right click, and with ultimate wise 5, it only costs 50 mana to actually use the ability. So even without a pet out or anything, I can kind of just hold right click and just spam away with this thing, dealing impact damage wherever it lands. So that's the early game. I recommend going for these. You should usually use this setup until you reach around 25. I found that I used this setup until I was around Catacombs 25, and I'll explain why in just a second when we reach mid game. So once you get to 25, you can finally move on to the mid game of your mage setup. And yeah, let's talk about some of those sets right now. So as I said, there you have it, the early game setup for the Catacombs. Adaptive, honestly, old reliable. I wore my adaptive set for a very, very long time. One more thing about the reforges, you're going to want to put necrotic on your helmet, your legs, and your boots, everything except for what this chestplate has. I just happened to buy this from the auction house with necrotic on the chestplate. Necrotic is really good on the helmet, legs, and boots because it actually provides an extra 120 intelligence and also scales depending on what rarity the armor piece is, as the reforge does. The reason why you want loving on your chestplate, we're going to talk to in a second. So now it's time to move on to mid-game, and this is where things start getting very, very expensive. Also, just for reference, the Bonzo Staff is roughly 6 million coins for a decent one right now on the auction house. You can buy a clean one for about 2 mil, but if you want a good one, they're about 6 million coins. That's already 5-starred. So in terms of mid-game, there's 2 main armor sets that I recommend and that I used. So first, we have Young Dragon Armor, and we also have Wise Dragon Armor. Each of these have different levels, and the reason why that you have these two in here is because once you reach Catacombs level 25, you can actually wear 5-starred Dragon, or Young Armor, sorry, and this is where you can actually start working your way up through the ranks a lot faster. So one thing that you should keep in mind though, once you're going Mage and you passed your adaptive phase, or even while you're wearing adaptive too, try and go to Ophelia and take a look at the goggles. The goggles are actually a really good headpiece, and actually there's one for each stage here. So dark goggles would be really good for early game, 77.6k coins, depending on your talisman, the one that you get from, not Sirius, but the Dark Auction one, the Seal of the Family. As you can see right here, it makes a discount on this, 3% off at the shop. So I believe it's probably 80k maybe. Dark Goggles though, your abilities deal 50% damage to undead monsters. Nearly every single mob in the Catacombs is undead, and that's why this is really good. As you progress as well, Shadow Goggles, this is a really good mid-tier one, 776,000 coins. As you can see, your abilities now deal plus 60% damage to undead monsters, and this is what I recommend wearing while you're running some of these dragon sets. So only focus on the 3/4 of it, don't look at the heads, kind of just use the helmets for this part. And once you've actually completed floor 7, you can actually, and your Catacombs level 28, you can also get the Wither Goggles. So by the time you're wearing your Necrotic or Wise Dragon Armor, you can actually run a Wither Goggles at the top. So those are really good for Mage, because with Wither Goggles, your abilities deal plus 70% damage to undead monsters, and this is actually still the best helmet for Mage when it comes to late game as well. We'll get to that in a second. So some of the weapons that you're going to come across while you're in this phase, when you have Catacombs level 25, you're going to see yourself using a Spirit Scepter. You might even be using a Yeti Sword. And if you have a little bit more coins to spend, you could even end up using a Mida Staff. All 3 of these weapons are actually really good when it comes to running Mage. They've all had their time in the spotlight in terms of the meta, and well, now they don't because of the next weapon in late game, but they were all really important when it came to some of the mid-game play. So for example, Spirit Scepter, similar thing to the Bonzo Mask, except for it shoots guided bats. So you can actually shoot these, blow mobs up. As you can see, I'm doing 32k damage now per hit with this with the Spirit Scepter outside dungeons here, and it's already looking a little bit better. No armor on, by the way. Let me throw on just a set of Young Dragon Armor 5-starred. There we go. So now we're doing 42k damage, as you can see right here. It shoots guided bats. Honestly, a ton of fun to use. I used to use this thing for a long while, and I just actually sold mine like 2 days ago. Another weapon is the Yeti Sword. A lot of fun. You kind of hurl chunks towards your mobs that you're trying to kill. And as you can see, you can do a lot of damage with this. I believe that's 300k damage right there. And you can also kind of just spam right-click it in a similar fashion. If we go in here, well, it has a 1-second cooldown, but 1 second really isn't that much. And as you can see, you can just kind of clear out rooms, and honestly, it's a really fun weapon to use. Next one is the Mida Staff, the most expensive of these 3 by far. It actually, to get a good one, you need to pay 100 million coins if Sirius is elected as mayor, or Scorpius, sorry, and he is the Dark Auction mayor, and you can buy this from him. Otherwise, you can buy them on the auction house for 125 mil plus. And then also make sure you're always putting ultimate Wise on these things. As you can see, we're doing 1 million damage per mob right now, as you can see in our chat. So as you can see, they kind of scale up in terms of price as well as damage that you can do with them. So yeah, that's kind of the scale. Start with the Spirit Scepter, maybe work towards a Yeti Sword, or you can just jump straight to a Mida Staff. All 3 of these weapons, though, tons of fun to use. And once your Catacombs level 28, you can start wearing your Wise Dragon Armor. Wise Dragon Armor, obviously a lot stronger than Young, kind of just based on that progression. And as you can see, it actually added 300k damage to my Mida Staff damage. And instead of 300k now, we are doing 330 to 450 with our Yeti Sword, which is actually quite a large improvement if I'm being honest. And it looks like our chunks are getting stuck on the ceiling in this room, but I think you guys get the overall point. Golden Ghoul dead, Lava Rune, you love to see it. But yeah, so that's kind of the scale of this. Now we're going to move on to late game. This is where it gets really expensive as you go up with Mage, and I think you guys can kind of understand why. These weapons get very, very expensive as you move up. So there you have it. That's mid game for you. Young to wise and kind of the dragon armor phase. If you hit Catacombs level 30, it's not even worth using Superior anymore because you're getting really close to late game. I'd say 30 plus is where you're looking at late game Mage right now. Maybe a little bit past that, but you can start using some of the late game stuff around Cat 30, and I'll explain why in a second. Once you can start comfortably clearing floor 7, you start working towards some of these items. As you can see in this chest right here, I have a Hyperion, which is one of the most expensive swords in the game right now. As you can see, ultimate wise 5, bunch of other enchants, 5-starred. This thing costs a lot of money, mainly because of the Necron handle that you need to craft it. You guys have probably seen some videos on the channel recently about some of this late game gear that you're about to see here as well. So in terms of the set, you're wearing a necrotic wither goggles, as you can see on the head. You're using a loving storm chestplate, all 5-starred, storm leggings, and storm boots. So 3/4 storm, as well as with those wither goggles that we were talking about from Ophelia not too long ago. The goggles actually are really good because you're doing ability damage with your Hyperion. And so by having these goggles, you're doing an extra 70% damage on dead monsters, which is actually really good. So in terms of this setup, it's very pricey. It's quite expensive. The armor set alone, well over 100 million coins. In terms of the sword, you're looking at over 400 to 500 million coins right now. It gets very pricey, and as soon as you start putting on good enchants, whether it be Smite 7, Giant Killer 7, Sharpness 7, whatever you feel like putting on your weapon, it gets very expensive as well. So quickly, we're going to go over to the crypts. We're going to see how much damage we can actually do while wearing this setup outside dungeons. So right now, quick little right click. I just did 3.8 million damage to 4 mobs. To 1 mob, oh, a couple more spawned. Let me try and single out a mob here. I guess I can kill this one, and then boom, we do 944k. The reason why this setup is so OP though, and it's not as much damage as the Mida Staff. The Mida Staff is you have to aim it and you have to try and line up your hits. Hyperion, I can just stand back and just spam right click once you have the scrolls attached on, and you can absolutely obliterate a room. It actually reminds me, this setup's actually more like 600 million plus for the sword because of the scrolls. Completely forgot about that price. There's 3 scrolls you need to put on the Hyperion, each one over 65 million coins at the time of recording. So yeah, it gets relatively pricey quite quickly. If I look at Auction House right now, maybe we can see if there's a maxed one that someone's selling. This one, that one doesn't have any scrolls on it. This one has Wither Impact, as you can see, 5-starred, 615 mil. This one here, Wither Impact as well, 4-starred for 605. So yeah, you're looking at the 600 million range. This one's 600 mil on the dot. These other ones without scrolls, obviously a lot cheaper because some of the most expensive parts aren't yet put onto the sword. So obviously, as you know, as you add more things to it, it gets more and more expensive. But I'd say 600 million coins for it kind of clean and with the scrolls on it. That would be my guess. So yeah, this is the late game setup, very expensive. In terms of pets while you're working your way through dungeons, sheep is the go-to mage pet. And there's many reasons behind it. If we look into our pets menu, my sheep pet here reduces the mana cost of abilities by 20%, which is amazing when you're running mage. Already gives you plus 20 ability damage and plus 200 intelligence as base stats. Gives a 10% shield after not taking damage for 10 seconds. Overheal, so it's an extra buffer if you do get attacked all of a sudden. And Dungeon Wizard increases your total mana by 25% while in dungeons. And if you put a textbook on it, which is a pet item, you can get an extra 100% intelligence. Increases the pet's intelligence by 100%. Sorry, not your overall intelligence. So overall, there's just so many dungeon buffs that come into one single pet. Like if we kill one mob now, we have already upped our damage by like 20%. It actually is exactly how much we upped it by. So yeah, it's tons of fun to run with this pet out. Honestly, sheep is by far the best mage pet. When it comes to later floors, you might start switching to Wither Skeleton or Ender Dragon when it comes to trying to do damage to some of the boss mobs. Try and kill them faster so you can start clearing a lot faster. But overall, sheep pet is going to be your best friend as a mage, and it will be for a long while. So quickly level it up. It's an alchemy pet. You can level it very quickly, and it's very easy to use right off the bat. That was a lot of talking. Hopefully you guys were able to pick something up from that and maybe it helped you out a little bit. If you guys want me to do a similar thing for other classes, I'd love to. I think it's a really cool idea to kind of share some knowledge about some of this stuff because a lot of people are scared to get into dungeons because they just don't know what they need to actually succeed in it. And it's not too hard once you know what you need to get. So hopefully you guys did pick something up and this was educational in some way. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. It's probably the most talking I've done in the video in a while, a little bit of a different style. Let me know if you liked it in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new around here on the road to 70,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for all the support. Join the Discord down below if you guys want to stay up to date on everything that's going on with me, whether it be giveaways, videos, streams, anything you want to hear, it's all in the Discord. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Yeah, so peace out and take care.